Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakah, Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. It's a quick sip, and the scripture I'm going to read upon is Romans 12 and 18. And it reads, if it be possible, as much as life in you, live peaceably with all men. All right? So I'm going to read this again, get into it. If it be possible, as much as life in you, live peaceably with all men. Now we know the day and age that we're in, where we're presently in slavery, okay, and the we being the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which our true identity goes back to the biblical Israelites, all right, the Hebrew Israelites, which according to the curses spoke of in a covenant we made with our power, Yahweh, in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter inside of the Holy Bible, which is basically our law book, our history book. Um, um, Everything that is tied to the culture of us as a people is within that book. It basically speaks upon if we fail to keep our end of the bargain, that a set of curses would befall us. And now we're presently in the time of the curses. That's why it tells you in the book of Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right, because it tells you when the wicked multiply, transgression increaseth. And the first time that the earth became greatly wicked, um, as Job 9:24 tells you, is the time of Alexander the Freak, or the Greek, or the Great, as Esau likes to call him, great in wickedness. Um, that was the first time when really great wickedness overtook the earth. All right. So saying all that, the point being is that the time we're in is adversely against us. Okay. So with that being said, this is like Paul delivering, dropping a jewel, basically letting it be known for us to live in a certain type of manner. So it says if it be possible, so that it's a possibility. It didn't say it's a 100% thing, because guess what? There's a diversity in spirits. Just going off the 12 tribes of Israel, you have 3 tribes that are warrior tribes. Half tribe of Manasseh, right, and Gad and Reuben. Gad and Reuben, or Reuben mainly, it says didn't make no treaties with the with Esau when he came over to the land of America, and it tells you in the prophecy that he's unstable as water. So that's the spirit of Reuben, all right. So Reuben, it can't be held to nothing, It's just that's how Reuben is. It's unstable as water. But guess what? So the possibility for someone like Reuben, as opposed to someone not so much with that kind of spirit within the tribe, is a difference. There's a difference of possibility. So they'll let certain things slide that Reuben won't let slide. You know what I mean? So that's that, if it be possible. So there's a variation in that. And that's why it says in the 3rd chapter about let me read this quickly. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think. So not to think be high-minded of yourself, but to think soberly. Think, on point. You're just a man in the flesh. According as the Most High have dealt every man the measure of faith. So everyone has a different measure of faith. So they have a different possibility, all right, within these things. As much as life in you, live peaceably with all men, all right? Because Yahweh Shai told us to be as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. So implement the wisdom of a serpent. It's like taking the mindset of a serpent and putting it inside of a dove. Now, a dove ain't got no fangs. You don't have that ability to basically, you know, do not no evil, but basically don't have no predatory tactics, basically, to attack someone else. So a dove, really, you see these pigeons out here, these pigeons you see in your city, they're turtle doves. So what's their form of attack? The best they can do is intimidate you by flying in your direction or something like that. But for the most part, they're harmless, all right? And intimidating is really harmless, because after that they ain't got nothing. they can do against a human. You could take one and crush it in your hands. So that's that live in peace, live as much with life in you, mind you, live peaceably with all men. So obviously you have to deal. We're in this kingdom, so we got to deal with Esau, Edom, the red Hebrew Edomite, and we know he has the mastery over us because this is society. That the power's been given him. The curse of Cain is in full effect. That if anyone put their hand upon him, they'll receive judgment 7 times over. So we have to be wise in that effect. But at the same time, with implementing that wisdom, there's it's to us. Uh, Basically, that's the point. You try to do anything, it's gonna be taken to a further extent that really you can't handle. All right. So that's why it's told us to live peaceably with all men. And now it goes even further with the men of the Lord. Now, every men within these camps in your respectable camps, you have to deal with them with wisdom. All right. You have to understand what kind of spirit they have, and how and this is beyond camp leader. It's just a brother in a camp, and more so the camp leader. All right. But you have to deal with everyone in such a manner that you know that, okay, I'm if I do that with this brother, it probably won't go over well, because it'll rub him the wrong way, because his spirit's like uh this way or that way. So that's how you live peaceably, but as much as be it life in you, because at the same time you got your own spirit. All right, there's only so much you can do with the Archeum, whereby you're trimming your ways, and it's to the point where, and I'm not saying it in a manner where it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it's to the point where, you know, it's it's beyond something that can be maintained. Ultimately, it's going to lead to more tension than it's worth, rather than you just airing out how you feel from the get go, and finding some common ground on that level. Because sometimes to keep to live peaceably with someone, you might have to just move away from them, man. All right. It's like, for example, if you go into a shop where Esau's, you know, um, basically the man, that's his shop basically. Your thing might be, okay, I need to get these said things. Say if it's a restaurant, for example, you can get takeaway. You ain't got to stay there and entertain a company of Edomites. You can just get the food and keep it moving. Whereas if you know, because you know, if you sit in that restaurant, it might stir up your spirit in a way where you may never be allowed to go into that said business ever again. So you gotta use wisdom how you maneuver out here. Okay. So it's just one of them kind of things that, it's just a basic kind of thing. I was just thinking about it, the sign that's on my mind. You just gotta be wise and know when to draw a line. And actually, something happened today that made it as to where this is something that's on my mind. So you gotta know when to draw the line, and if you feel violated, make it known. All right? Because remember as well, the one of the main laws that the Most High, um, the foundation of the law is to love the Lord with all your heart, and also to the golden rule is basically to treat your brother as you'd like to be treated. Now you have to understand as well that in treating your brother how you'd like to be treated, it only goes so far, because again you got different spirits. So you may feel like you're jumping out the window for a brother, and you look at him and what he's doing, and you feel like he ain't doing the same thing for you. That may just be his spirit. So that's the way it is. But you know, in order to live peaceably as well, don't mean being passive and not saying nothing. It means saying something, all right? Because it tells you answer not a fool according to his own folly. Because basically, if you do that, if you see the brother doing some stupidness or something like that, you basically talk to him on a certain level. I mean, you don't appease him, yeah, to make him feel good. You gotta say it, call it like it is. Because if you answer according to his own folly, then what does he then become? He feels wise in that folly. All right. So you gotta, as it tells you in Leviticus, rebuke them sharp. Don't say that in Leviticus, but that come to mind. Rebuke them sharply, that it shall be sound in the faith. Debate that cause with thy neighbor. Discover not a secret. And also it tells you about That's the other point in Leviticus 19. It says, "Thou shalt not suffer any form of sin upon thy neighbor. Um, thou in any man, in all man, in all." Let me just grab it quickly. Leviticus 19, because I know I'm gonna butcher it. 19:17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So basically, not to rebuke your neighbor is basically hating your brother. You're allowing him to suffer that sin. So, that's why, going back to what we was reading in Romans 12 and 18, it tells you, if it be possible, as much as life in you, live peaceably with all men. And you really got to extrapolate the parameters of that according to your spirit. Because the Most High made you part of the body, and there's a part you have to play, and you got to play that part to perfection. So with that, I pray you're edified. Shalom.